Hey, it's Chris. Welcome back to my channel. I know it has taken me forever to upload a new video. It's because I've been really lazy and I've been putting back the actual learning of editing. So I just sat down and edited this makeup look. So it actually is not as hard as I was thinking. Now, is this editing going to be great? No. Is the voiceover great? No. But I tell you what I'm doing. I tell you what I'm using. And I think that's the most important part. That's what you would need if you want to actually recreate this look. So this is the look I did for you guys today. I'm actually really proud of it. So on my Instagram story and on my Snapchat, I posted and I was like, well, should I do a pink look or should I do a brown look? And pink won by more than the vast majority. But someone brought up a point that if they're gonna watch a makeup tutorial, they want it to be something that not only can they do, but something that they would feel comfortable wearing out. So I'll be honest, most of my own makeup looks that I've posted and stuff, like, I don't want to wear that out, like if I go to the mall or if I go out to eat or something like that, just because, I don't know, where I live, it's not a huge town. And not a lot of people, you know, get really cute just to get cute. And so when you sit there with like a neon blue or a bright green or like a really pretty but just really out there makeup look, people will give you weird looks. And yeah, it's shitty. Yeah, you shouldn't care. But I care. I care what people look at me and think. 'Cause I don't feel like having someone's dad sit there and be like, what is she doing? Why does she look like that? So this is what I did. I tried to do a nice combination of pinks and browns. I think it's a really nice rose gold, sultry little hi moment. There's a lot of great content that I ended up kind of not cutting out, but since I did the voiceover, like I decided halfway through that someone just complimented me my DMs. But anyway, since it ended up being so long, just like with the eyes done, I was like, no, we're doing a voiceover. So there's a voiceover. But yeah, just thank you so much for clicking on this. Thanks for watching. If you stay and watch, if you wouldn't mind, if you like this look, if you want more makeup looks for me, I want you to give me a big thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, hey, that would make my day. If you want me to do more of like a talk through, whether it's gonna be, 45 minutes long or not, let me know and I would love to do that, just because I have so much to say and I think those videos are so much fun. So if you want me to do more of like a get ready with me or something like that, I can do that. Like I said, I'm still learning how to edit, everything like that. I'm pretty proud of how this first one came along. Like I said, it's not great, but I'm getting there. I'm learning. Now, one thing I did leave out in the voiceover is the color of the lips that I have on. So I'm not a huge fan of matte lipsticks, and this one's not bad. I've been snacking, and I've had this on for like a little over 35 minutes now because I've had to take breaks in between editing and doing the voiceover, and it's really not bad. Like, it's really light. And like I said, I hate matte lipsticks, but of course I had to do something for a look. I couldn't just not do lipstick. But this is Coral Corruption Mega Last Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit. So there you go. This is what it looks like. I left that out, but yeah, so if you want to see this look, go ahead and stay tuned. Like I said, it's a voiceover, some pretty boring music, but thanks for watching. It gets through pretty quickly. You get a surprise visit from Nugget. So without further ado, I'm gonna get on into that, but thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day. And if you do decide to recreate this look or even put your own spin on it, please let me know. Send it to me. I'd love to see it. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the eyebrows. This is a pencil that my mom got from Amazon or Wish or some online company a few years back. Just started using it again once I dyed my hair brown. So I'm going to start by underlining my eyebrows, and then I will go in and fill upwards just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and line the top here, get that nice defined arch, and go ahead and define that tail as well. And I'm going to go ahead and do this on both eyebrows. Here I point out how I have those crazy raccoon eyes from tanning. It gets kind of funny, so go ahead and fill in both eyebrows, and I do go ahead and do the inner corner as well a little bit later. I wait until I have both brows defined before I go in and feather out the inner corner of my eyebrows. Okay, so now we have the Wonder 2 angled eyebrow brush. I have had that for about 3 years now. I got it when I actually purchased the Wonder 2 eyebrow gel that surfaced the internet a few years ago. It works really well. So I'm actually going to grab product off of the pencil and begin to feather the inner corners of my eyebrows here. That's just what we're going to be doing now. Now, most people will say that their eyebrows are sisters and not twins. Most of the time, mine are pretty close in that family tree. Sometimes they're more like first cousins, but I think today they ended up pretty well. Now, I know right now they look a little bit messy, but that is okay. We are going to be cleaning them up very soon. Okay, so now I'm going to be reaching for my Cover FX Blurring Primer and Pore Minimizer Primer. This is one of my favorite primers that I've ever used by far. It is very silky and smooth once you blend it in, and it also really does end up making your face just look a whole lot smoother than it would without primer or with some of the other primers that I've used in general. So I'm going to be spending a few minutes here just getting it really worked into my face, kind of like you would any other primer, or maybe a moisturizer if you're not used to using primers. I do tend to prefer primers that do have a more silicone or, filling effect rather than something that's just going to really help your makeup stick. I do prefer those that do fill in any deeper pores or, blemishes that you may have. So that is what I will be using here. And of course, like any primer, you're going to want to make sure that you do get that all over the surface area of your face that any concealer or foundation is going to be layered on top of. Okay, so here I'm going to be pointing out all of my little friends on my face. So just ignore that part. Still just getting that primer in there and worked into the skin. Okay, so we're going to be taking the Instant Age Rewind Eraser concealer in the shade Fair. And this is, of course, Maybelline. This is what I use to clean up my brows, and I will use it to conceal my face as well. Now, this is just a flat, not angle brush, nothing like that, but a flat brush that I use to carve out my brows on a day-to-day basis. So we're just going to go in and underline the brows, and then eventually I will end up working that all over my lid as well to be a base for the eyeshadow. So like I said, I do end up working this onto my lid like you can see me doing here. I also bring it into the sides of my nose because I do have some pretty prominent, not really circles, but I do have prominent darkness right in that corner there. So I make sure I work it into that region as well. Now, for anyone that wants to know, the brushes that I do use are mainly off of Wish and Amazon like packages that have a lot of brushes, things like that. This came in, I want to say, a 16 piece that also has a case that wraps up. I tend to really just use the flat brushes. I use a couple of those in this video, but that's mainly what I use from that set now. But just gonna go ahead and get that out of the way here. I don't have any high-end brushes right now except for the ones that come in my eyeshadow palettes. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the Airspun Loose Face Powder in the Translucent Extra Coverage shade. I'm just going to be setting that concealer all over my eyes with a pretty dense eyeshadow brush that came in. Once again, one of those just sets that you get off of one of those kind of cheaper ordering websites. So blend it out with the Beauty Blender, and then we're going to set it with the Airspun powder. So when you set your eyeshadow primer, or if you use a concealer like I do, when you're setting that, you really want to make sure you get into all of the creases and corners of your eye, and you want to make sure it goes all the way up to your eyebrows as well, because if it does not, then pigment can pick up more on those wet places and it can end up being patchy or just look weird. So the gist of what I'm getting at here is the eyeshadow palettes that I have used in this video is the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe, the Naked Urban Decay Cherry palette, and the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. So the first thing we're going to be doing is working the shade Juicy from that Naked palette into, well, I guess it's going to be the transition shade, mainly working it into the crease and the outer B, just kind of all over the lid, really. Just getting Juicy all up in there, like I said, to be our main transition shade and focal point. Now, as I'm blending Juicy out, you can see that I'm just using a pretty fluffy brush. Whenever I do any transition shade, this is the brush that I always go for. This is an e.l.f. brush, just a nice blending brush. Any fluffy blending brush will work for this, but yes, we're just going to continue to put Juicy all over the eye, and I will be doing that on, yeah, there we go, my other eye as well. getting up here in a few seconds. There he is. Nugget decided he wanted to make an appearance on the channel today. I'm not sure if he realized I was recording or not, because he's usually very camera shy, but there you go. There is Nugget, and here I am being ridiculous. And I'm looking for some eyeshadow brushes. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills, the Modern Renaissance, that brush that came in there. I'm going to be using that. I go in with the shade Butter from the Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm focusing that pretty much where I put Juicy, but more towards the outer V, but also blending it into the inner corner as well, just to add some depth in there. So I'm going to be doing that on both eyes, just going in and blending hella until, you know, I'm just a blended bitch. One thing that I do mention a lot about this brush is that it is very, very scratchy. Now, my friend got the same palette maybe a year or a few months after I did, and hers is not nearly as scratchy, but that brush is very, very, very scratchy. So. Okay, so I do switch to the Naked 3 brush that came in that palette, and on there I am attempting to use the shade Bing from the Naked Cherry palette. It didn't show as much color as I would like, so I end up going in with Pooter and Pukey as well in this about the same places as I did with Bing. So now I'm going in and just buffing out with the first brush that I used with Juicy, just buffing out everything that I've already done so far, and then I'm going to go back in with that Naked brush, and I believe here I begin to use Love Letter from the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, and I just begin working that in about the same places, so not as high as I've done with the other shades. So I keep going in and buffing it out just because, like I say, many times throughout this recording, I do tend to like being a blended bitch. I don't like makeup looks if they're not super blended, whether it's on the face or the eyes. So I lied. Earlier I was going back in with those same few shades, and now I'm going in with the Love Letter, mainly focusing on the outer V, but bringing it in towards the inner corner just a little bit more than you usually would with one of those darker colors. Now I'm going in with the shade, I believe it is a little bit of Chip and Buns from the Jaclyn and Morphe palette. Yeah, Chip and Buns towards the outer corner. This is me dancing, being a little bit goofy. So just continue blending that out. Now, I will say, you can kind of see me going back and forth. I have a little bit of a hard time making sure that both eyes are even and one is not darker than the other, just because of the way my light is hitting my face in this video. So for a lot of this next section, I am taking mainly Central Park and Chip, a tiny bit of mocha back into that outer V, and I just keep blending that out like I have this entire video. I keep just trying to darken up that outer V, outer corner, trying to get a good bit of dimension in there for what I'm going to be doing towards the end. So yeah, like I said, blending a lot of Central Park, Chip, and mocha just to try and get that depth in there. So now I grab a less fluffy brush because I do want to base this color more towards the lash line and the like way outer V, really getting the depth just right in that corner. This is going to be Soda Pop from the Jaclyn Hill palette that I am packing into that outer V for the next little bit. Okay, so now I've grabbed an angled brush, and I'm going to start taking, I go back and forth between Central Park, Soda Pop, and Abyss, and this is going to kind of mimic a winged liner, but I'm doing it with an eyeshadow because I prefer that smoky winged look rather than a harsh winged look, at least on myself. I think that especially using these really deep browns rather than the like Abyss or really dark colors to begin with looks really good on people with blue eyes or green eyes specifically. It helps it pop rather than, you know, if you have brown eyes, doing a harsh wing is not gonna look, you know, bad on you whatsoever. Now, my ladies with blue eyes, I'm not saying that wings look bad. I'm just saying that on myself, when I do full black wings, it tends to look way too harsh. So that's what I'm gonna be doing on both eyes, and I do struggle to keep it even. That's why I very rarely do wings, but I'm just going to be going back and forth, jamming, and using the Central Park, Soda Pop, and Abyss to get this nice smoky winged effect. So towards the inner corner, I do opt for more of Mocha and Central Park rather than the Soda Pop and Abyss. Like to try to gradiate that into a lighter part of the wing when I get to the inner corner, just like I said. Really harsh lines and stuff when it comes to wings when they're dark. It just tends to look super, super harsh on my light skin and light eyes. So I do try to go in and get that gradiated, but like I said, I do go back to the darker two colors once I start going and working back in the outer section of the wings. So pretty soon here we are going to be grabbing a makeup wipe to start cleaning the eyeshadow and wings up. So I do take off a little bit more than I mean to. I held it weird on my finger, so I will go back in and get those evened out. I spend a good few minutes trying to do that, just like I do anytime I do any kind of wing. So you're gonna see me evening it out and doing all that, cleaning it up, and then I go back and forth doing that these next few minutes. Like I said, I very rarely do wings because it does take me forever to get them evened out. So if you're usually pretty good at wings, this shouldn't take as long for you. But this is me just making sure that they're even and keeping on. So yeah, I'm just going to continue to do that until I'm not doing that anymore. Okay, so once my little jewel break is over, I'm going to go back in with Pooter and Pukey. And keep blending out. I'm gonna be bringing that more into the crease of my inner corner, so that when I do go in and cut it with a little bit of a shimmery shade, it stands out more. So then I take it and, I go back and blend about 20,000 times in this video. Didn't feel like that needed much explanation because you can pretty much see what I'm doing. Just take whatever's left on. So now I'm just trying to figure out of all these beautiful shimmers in that Jaclyn Hill palette, which one I'm gonna be using. So I do decide to go in and use Sissy and Little Lady. I end up combining the two. I did not go in and use concealer to cut my crease. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I decided on this look I really did not want to. But yes, I go in with Sissy and Little Lady. Those are the two glitter shades I end up deciding. whenever I do any kind of cut crease, I do use, I have 2 different shadow brushes, exactly like the one I'm using in this video right now. This is from the same little pack that the brush I used to conceal my eyebrows was on, or in, I'm sorry. But it is just a tiny little flat brush, and I love using that for shimmers. So now I'm going to go back in, and this is actually Love Letter and Mocha combined. And like I said, I like for my crease to be very defined if I do use any type of glitter or anything like that to mimic a cut crease, because I know this isn't necessarily a cut crease. But that is what I go in and do, and then I blend it into my outer V as well. And that is what I'm doing. I'm going to go in with a fluffier brush and blend it out even more. Now the next thing I'm going to do is actually grab a felt tip liner pen, and this is just to really try and sharpen up what I've already done with the eyeshadow, but I don't go in and fill in the whole thing with the pen because, like I said, I do feel like that creates too harsh of what I'm wanting for this look. So I'm really just trying to use that felt tip eyeliner pen to go in and make sure that these wings are even and sharp enough for my liking. Okay, so now that I've gotten the shadows and the liner to blend how I want it with my fingers and fluffy brushes, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start concealing my under eyes with that same Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer in Fair that I was using to carve out my brows and, you know, prime my eyelids earlier. So I'm just going to take that all around. I don't necessarily bring it up to the wing, but I go ahead and shape it up. So that's what I'm going to continue doing. Once I get that on there, I'm just going to pound it out with a beauty blender, just the original beauty blender that I'm using today. So yeah, once we get that blended out, we will move right on. Okay, so now that I've got that blended out, I'm going to show you that I'm going to be mixing the Maybelline New York Dream Satin Liquid Foundation in Natural Ivory and then my Born This Way foundation in Nude. I mix the two because right now I am too dark for my Dream Satin. I'm too light for just the Born This Way. So I mix the two and it actually ends up being a very, very pretty look. So I do one pump of each, go ahead and mix it with that same brush I used to carve out my brows, put it all over my face. And then we're going to use my Kiko foundation brush to smooth it all out, get it all over my face evenly. And then I'll go back in with a beauty blender and blend that out as well. So when doing your foundation, you want to make sure that not only do you get it on your face, but you get it on your ears and your neck as well. That's gonna really make sure that, you know, even if your face does look a little bit too dark for the rest of your body, girl, it's blended into your neck and your ears, so who can really say anything, you know? Okay, so just continuing to blend out all of my foundation, and then of course the tiny bit of concealer I had already brought under my eyes. Just gonna keep doing that, covering, we'll call him Philip, covering the little pimple twins there with just the same foundation mixture. You just covered a little bit more. So before I blend that out, I'm gonna go in with my, it is AOA Studio FX contour stick in the shade Latte. So these contour sticks have been my absolute favorite for like a year now. You go to Shop Miss AOA, and they're literally $1, and they have tons of product. Shipping does not cost much. I don't remember how much off the top of my head, but I go into where I see the natural shadow of my cheek lines. I go in a tiny bit on my forehead, a little bit too much on my nose, and then of course my jawline. And I'm just gonna blend that out very, very well with that same foundation brush. I tend that makes it look pretty airbrushed. Now, I do like to hold my hair back so that I can really get my contour blended into my hairline for the most natural look you can possibly go for while doing your makeup. So I like to go in, you know, just a little bit more if I don't find that the sides look even. Want to be evenly contoured, evenly blended, everything. So just gonna keep blending it out. Okay, so we are about to go in, grab that Instant Age Rewind Concealer. Once again, we're going to do just a tiny bit more under the eyes. We're going to go along the bridge of the nose, up onto the forehead. That is called our T-zone. Then I'm also going to bring it under my nose a little bit to blend it out, get that nice lighted effect. Bring it a tiny bit under my contour just to bring that out as well. But I do find that on one side, I feel like it is too light towards my ear, so I will go back over that a tiny bit with my foundation. There you go. So we're just gonna blend that out with the same beauty blender I have been using. I'm gonna blend for a few minutes here. Okay, so what I'm about to do here in just a second is actually take some of that foundation off the back of my hand and blend it onto kind of the height of my cheekbone, because I feel like the way my concealer and my foundation was blending in was not as seamless as I would like for it to be, considering how light my concealer is compared to, you know, my foundation and everything. So I do take a tiny bit of that and just blend a little bit of that back in everywhere and on my forehead. Along my nose a little bit, just continue to blend out pretty well. I'm gonna take a little bit more off the back of my hand and continue to blend those pimples out the best I can. So we're once again gonna go in with our Airspun Loose Face Powder. Once again, translucent but extra coverage. I'm just gonna pack that under my eyes to set them. Now this is the only place that I necessarily bake in. It's the longest I leave any powder on any part of my face in fear of getting way too dry. So now I'm going to go in with my MAC Global Glow bronzer. This is a really, really pretty bronzer. I don't necessarily like a lot of face products other than highlights that have any type of shimmer or glitter in them. This is the one exception ever. This bronzer is very beautiful. So I'm going to go in with what looks like a blush brush, but it does have a nice angle to it so that it fits into the little pockets of my cheekbones very, very nicely. So I'm going to go along everywhere that I use the cream contour with this bronzer just to warm up the face. So now I'm going to go into my Tartiest Pro Glow Palette by Tarte. I'm going to use Sculpt, which is the one contour powder in there. There's also a contour cream, but I've had this for forever, so it's kind of dried up. I'm going to take this over all of the bronzer, but mainly focusing it just, you know, really trying to get those cheekbones to stand out. I do take it along everywhere else as well, but not nearly as much as I do on the cheekbones. So next I'm going to take that same dense brush and my airspun powder, and I'm going to carve out my cheekbones with that, or, you know, carve underneath where I've carved out with that sculpting powder. So we're going to take that along the bridge of the nose. Anywhere that you would highlight with your concealer, you do want to set. You don't want to leave any part of your face not set with powder. So now I take this nice huge brush and I brush away all of it. Like I said, I don't like to bake for too long just for fear of my face looking, for lack of a better term, crusty. So I blend that all in. I think I do a pretty good job of blending. So there I am, celebrating how good I think I look. Go ahead and wipe off my crusty lips. I think the next step is blush. All right, Kristen? Oh, what am I doing? Okay, well, Kristen's just gonna touch up her eyeliner again. I'm pretty sure I like kind of messed up, got a little dot there. And I got mad about it. Or maybe it's the other. It's okay. Oh, she's feeling herself. Oh, okay. Now I'm going into my under eyes with the, I go in with Love Letter from the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I get that blended up under there. And then once I am done with that, I also take Juicy all along the rest of it. Yeah, forgot about that. So yeah, we're gonna take both of those and just get those nice and blended out underneath my eye. Okay, so now that we've got Juicy and Love Letter underneath the eyes, just bringing out that extra pop, I'm going to go back in with a little bit of Soda Pop, lining just the lash line to try and connect that wing to the lower lash line, try and make it pop a little bit more. So I'm going to do that on both sides. And then we will get to move on to blush. Yeah, Kristen, feel yourself. Okay, so here I am reaching for my blush. I've got the Milani Blossomtime Rose Powder Blush. This is my favorite blush. It's got some gold interlaced with it, but not to where it's too shiny on the face. I think it's just a very pretty, natural, but glowy brush. Okay, so now I've realized that just reaching doesn't always help me. I have to actually look in my drawer. I'm grabbing my highlights. Here I'm looking for my second one, and it ended up being on the bottom of one of my, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my Lancome Dual Finish Highlighter in the shade Sparkling Peche, whatever. Take that to the heights of my cheekbones. Yeah, looks great. And then I'm going to end up going over that. I brush this across the tip of my nose, but not the bridge. And then, of course, above the eyebrows, on the upper lip. So then I'm going to go in with this e.l.f. highlighter. There's no shade on it. Oh, yes, there is. It's Moonlight Pearls. And this is a beautiful, beautiful highlighter. I like taking this over pretty much any highlighter that I use. There we go. Blending it out. Then I take this on my pinky, and I put that across the bridge of my nose. Also on top of the peche. And everywhere else that you'd put a normal highlighter. Alright, so now I'm going to take Beam from the Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm going to put that in my inner corner and on my brow bones. And yes, this brush is shaped like a Harry Potter one.
So I end up feeling like that
5 of them.
Brow highlight a little set out there. I will go in and blend it out just with my
e.l.f. fluffy brush that had Juicy on it originally. There we go. And then we'll move on to the inner corner. I'm going to use that Moonlight Pearls e.l.f. highlighter. And then I'm going to end up taking that Lancome Sparkling Peche and kind of trying to blend that into where I've cut my crease with the Sissy and Little Lady. End up doing that in just a second. There we go. Yes, I'm really just bringing that in to try and blend it. I didn't really blend it, but it looks really pretty. Yeah, it looks great. So now, curl lashes next. Yes, we're gonna go in and curl our lashes, you know, just a normal process. We're gonna do mascara, and then I'm using the Better Than Sex mascara. I've been using this mascara for years. I love it. Yeah, the Lash Paradise is really good as well, but nothing will stand in the way of me and my Better Than Sex unless I'm just broke, which usually I am. Okay, so the lashes I'm using for this look are pretty much some of my favorites. This is going to be the Kiss Pompadour lashes. I have the 5-pack, and I love these. I have to cut off, I think, 2 little bundles before I can put them on, but it's whatever. So I use the Duo lash adhesive. This comes on a little brush. What I really like about this is that it goes on white, and then you know it's ready to dry because it turns this weird like neon purpley color. It's really cool. So I use tweezers. I make sure I put the lashes right dead in the middle, or I put the tweezers right dead in the middle of the lashes, and then I apply them to the middle of my lash line, and then I will go ahead and connect. There I am blending more. I swear I can never get enough of blending, but once I put them in the middle, I'll go ahead and do the outer corner. And then once I know that that is good and laid down, I'll go in and do the inner corner. So when you do the inner corner of your lashes, one of my biggest pet peeves is when they're connected to the inner corner eyelash hairs, but not the actual lid. When you do your inner corner, you want to make sure it's actually connected to the inner corner of your eyelid, or they're going to fly away and it's not going to look good. So yeah, I do that, and you can see the glue still drying, but I could feel that they were good and secure. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the second eyelash, and you'll see me start to do that here. I am going to follow the same process, putting the tweezers in the direct middle of the fake lash strip, securing that to the middle, going out to the outer corner, and then securing the middle corner as well. Okay, so now I'm taking this little lash crimper thing, I guess you could call it, that I got in a kit a long time ago, and that just helps to really bind your lashes to the fake ones. I'm going to go in and use my curler. That just helps secure them as well. Also, I hadn't worn these in a long time, so I just felt like they needed a good curling. So I'm going to go in and do my bottom lashes. Of course, pretty much all females make this weird ass face when we do our bottom lashes. I think it's hilarious. So I'm going to do my bottom lashes. Same Better Than Sex mascara. And then I'm going to go in with this NYX white eyeliner. I'm just going to line the bottom. This is going to open up my eyes just a little bit. I would have opted in more for a like cream color or like a nude, but I did not have one available, so we went with white. So now I am using this Wet n Wild matte lipstick. It's coral. I don't remember the color. I don't have it here with me, but I'll be sure to name it in the outro or intro or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I do my bottom lip first, then I do the center of my top lip, and then I go in and do it by side so that I can make sure I get it super precise, because I very rarely use lip liners. I think that they're pretty annoying, and I tend to overline more if I use a lip liner than if I don't. Now I will say that this matte lipstick is very drying. I already am not a huge fan of matte lipsticks. It's very pretty. It's not terrible, but yeah.